Hello again. So the next and last segment here for the 4427 hopper weathering job that I've done, part 1 through 5, is up on my YouTube. And then if you remember in part 1 or 2, I talked about the trucks. They actually painted these the same color as the car. They were actually this kind of gray color. So I just took these to my paint booth and I sprayed these with a engine black, flat black, just to kind of get them somewhat to the right color. So that's pretty easy to do. You can use a rattle can for this. You can use an airbrush for this. You could hand paint it, but you might kill some of the fine details here. So I would definitely recommend either an airbrush or just a wash to try to tone these down a little bit. And also in my resistor wheel sets, my other video, this is a completed wheel set, nice and shiny. This one's been sealed. It tested at 10,000 ohms. So the next thing I do is I take some of this Model Master. It's railroad tie brown. It's flat. You can use an earth color. You can use a dark brown color. You could even use a gray. I use railroad tie brown. And what I do is I just paint the insides of these first, and then I use a brush and do the insides of the wheels and the outsides of the wheels. Really easy to do. I'll demonstrate that real quick. I use a micro brush. You can get these at the hobby shops, and it's got a very fine little tip to it. Works really well for this application. So we're going to go ahead and take one of these without the resistor, and we just dip some of that into the paint, and then we just go ahead and run that and paint the inside of the wheel. Careful not to get the little pointy bearing there, or whatever they call them. Just like that. Like I said, you can use any color you want there. You can use a dark gray, railroad tie brown, dark brown. This is a good base color for what I'm doing. Nice thing about using this little applicator brush is I'm not putting it directly on the face of the wheel. A lot of these times these cars will end up going through hump yards, and the retarders on the hump yard will actually keep these faces of the wheels pretty clean. Unless it's a unit train, most of the time you'll see these at different variations that they stay kind of clean. And that's just the outsides. Same idea with the resistor wheel set. If you decide to do these, you want to do the outsides of the wheels. For the inside, I use a small brush. Nothing special, just a small brush. And to do the insides, I just spin it and apply it. And I go right over the top of the wire glue, because this has been sealed with clear nail polish, so there's no worry about that ever coming off there. And I don't really want to see it, so I just paint right over it. Just like that. And then on the inside of the axle, I just kind of rotate it and paint around it. I don't paint over the resistor. I kind of leave that. No special reason why. It will work either way, but just like that. And the insides are done. Alright, then you want to set those aside to dry. I've already done a couple of these are already dry. So the next step, what I do is, if you remember from another video, I make my own weathering powders. Once these are depleted, I'll go ahead and buy some other brands out there that are already all grinded up for me, but I just use these pastel chalks. And then since I use the railroad tie brown, I use a dark rust color, and I just use a brush and just kind of dab it in the wheel to tone down that railroad tie brown. And then I use a little bit of regular rust color in there. That's how that looks. Same thing on the other side. I don't usually seal these once the wheels are installed in the trucks and on the car. I don't ever plan on really touching them again. And as soon as you hit this with dull coat, all this work that you just did just kind of washes away. So I don't usually seal these up. You want to add a little black, you can add some black, then go back a little more rust color. It gives it a nice look. There you go. I don't do the insides. I just kind of tone down the shiny. Don't really see those too much in there. Same idea with the one here with the resistor. I'll hit it with some black, some darker rust, and then some lighter, newer rust color. This one I'll do some newer rust, some darker rust, maybe a little bit of black, more light rust. The whole idea with the resistor wheel sets is you want to keep the tread clean. And that's another reason I don't use dull coat on my wheel sets, especially with the resistors, because once I coat that, it's just not going to work anymore. So want to keep those wheel faces really clean if you decide to use resistors. So that's it with those. Same idea for the trucks. I'll start with some darker rust, a little bit of black, brown, lighter rust around the bearing caps. Just like that. You can see just that little bit of powder takes it from this level to that. Let's do this side here. So that looks good, and then what we'll do is we'll pop these back in. Like that, and there you have it. Just like that. And if you want to touch these up, if you want to try to seal them, if you're not using resistors, that's entirely up to you. But this is how I do mine. There's many ways to do it. This is only one way, but it makes it believable, and they spin really nice and free. And then what we'll do is we'll add that to the car. And it looks pretty good. Alright, so give it a try. See what you think. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.